Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Luke. Hope you're doing well. How's the weather over in the UK? Here it is currently raining almost continuously for like the last week. We've had rain every day, so it's not the best. So just bear with me one moment. So I'll just shift some things around on here so I can see our turns results for the polls and that sort of thing. So yeah, just bear with me. For some reason the internet's a little bit slow. If you can't hear me or if it breaks up, just leave a comment and then I will be able to hopefully rectify that as soon as possible. But yeah, just bear with me. What am I doing? Finding poll results. Dry, but quite cold for August. Oh, interesting. Okay, good to have you with us. How's everything going with you at the moment? I'm just getting up the poll results, and my internet running slow. But okay, right, back to the stream. Cool. So let's have a think. What has happened in our recap? So last turn we had the large sort of combined Britain's forces converging on the Archabates capital, and they were able to knock the Archabates out. This Roman legion, I think it's Sabinus, came up. They were kind of being held up by the skirmish screen of the Britons. They managed to break through those, but they were just too late to really rectify the situation. So after inflicting some damage, they pulled back. The legion under Marcus, or yeah, Choice Marcus, pushed through the screen, but just weren't able to quite catch this group. Over in Catavalania, we had the Roman forces converging, and then we had all of the Britons from this area trying to catch them and destroy them. And so yeah, there were a few big battles there, quite a few casualties. So let's read the comment. The tribe I was asking about is that one in the furthest southwest. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, that was my bad. So just so that we're all on the same page, that's spelled wrong. So I've actually written it on there for myself. That's the Dumoni tribe. I need to correct the map for you all. But yeah, that's the Dumoni, not the Duvani. All these names sound quite similar, so I'm not sure quite how I spelled it wrong, but I did. But that's who they are. They're the Dumoni. Cool. But yes, that's kind of where we were last term. As far as the alliances go, there wasn't actually any change this term. A few have been sort of swayed slightly in favour of, say, the Britons or the Romans, but no one has been swayed enough at this stage to actually ask for their aid. So we're more or less in a similar situation overall. Juratrages, Siloris, Bordovices, Catablani and Iceni are hostile, and Cantiasti, Trinovantes, and the Romans are, and the Brigantes are with the Romans. So yeah, not a huge amount of change there, but things are still moving in the background. Just mention what I can see if I need to talk about them. Just yeah, of course, yeah, that's those ones there. So, does anyone have any questions about last week, the events, which we haven't talked about already on Discord? If not, we will get into this turn. Right, so starting off with, apart from the destruction of Archabates, of course. Let's see if I need to talk around. Yeah, so yeah, just to clarify that, with that, Archabates territory is still there, but the Archabates as an effective sort of force or faction, they are no longer part of the campaign. So this is kind of just open terrain now that forces can move through without causing a war against the Archabates. Likewise, any tribes in the surrounding areas can move into that area now because it doesn't belong to anyone. Cool. What we got? As a diplomatic entity, yeah. As a diplomatic entity, yeah, they're gone. They did deserve to become Roman. Yeah. So once the Romans can kick out all of these Britons, then yeah, it's basically being annexed for them. For us, I suppose. Cool. So first things first, let's do our dice roll to see how many months jump forwards. Last turn we got to September of 44 AD, and this turn we're going 4 months forwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're heading to March of AD 45. Okay. So let me write that in here. March. So I don't know if that's going to have huge effect on the weather and the battles. Let's have a look. December to February, turn the top 10, March, so March, April, October, November, so it's 12. So yeah, no real change there. You shouldn't have left them underfunded. I think we do a good job of keeping diplomacy in stalemate. Yeah, that's the thing with this sort of resource points. You can spend them on trying to bring people to your side, but then if both of you are doing it, it kind of keeps them in the balance. And then you've got to make that decision. Do I save the points and get a whole new legion in the Romans case, which might be better at punching a hole through somewhere? But then the opposite side of that is those 10 points could have kept everything in balance. And if you spent them, it could bring 2 or 3 tribes against you. So it's a real balancing act. Undefended. Cool. So that's our months. So initiative. Jump forwards. See who's going to get it this turn. It's just one of those. And the Romans get a +1, just because can't think of his name, but the highest commander for the Romans did some wounds, so he's not on his A game. So the Romans are currently at +1. They weren't supposed to be undefended. It's hard to, yeah. In fairness to the Archvates, because of the casualties that they had over the last few games, that was pretty well all they had left actually in the capital. I think they had a cavalry, an understrength cavalry detachment with one of each of the Roman armies. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't have the list open, but the rest, yeah, had fallen back to the capital. So that was, in effect, all they actually had left, and that included the sort of garrisoning forces. So yeah, they were under strength, but it was just because of the fact that they've basically been the I'd say the territory which has been taking the biggest pounding for the last in game 2 years. Where was that? Oh yeah, initiative. So we've got red for Romans, white for Britons, +1 to the red dice. 6 plus draw. Okay, so there won't be anything getting the initiative, which just means everyone's doing it simultaneously. So that's going to be good or interesting. Simultaneous. Cool. Weather. Let's have a go for that. So D10. So first we'll roll for the 10s, and we've gone 80, and then the units 82. And 82 in March is clear sky. Clear. Cool. So that's good. I can coordinate my attacks perfectly either. Yeah. I have no complaints how the game is going. You know, another tough game. That's good. As long as no one's upset about anything, that's what matters. I guess you are kind of both in the same boat in that, from what you can see here, trying to give you orders, they're getting interpreted. They're also getting affected somewhat by the voting from anyone who's just watching and voting on the poll. You've got that command friction where the best played less the best laid plans don't survive contact with the enemy. And you've also got me who kind of interferes sometimes by making mistakes. So you guys just keep me on point if I make a mistake, which you do pretty well. So where were we? Historical events. So this turn there is nothing. And it says I see revolt, but the other thing is already hostile. Nothing from there. No further forces. Let's put it that way. They're already in field. Before I jump on, actually, we've got reinforcements. So this turn, based off of the reinforcement tracker, wherever it is, we've got Romans gain 1 cavalry detachment, and the Britons gain 2 infantry detachments. Sorry, 3 infantry detachments. So, Romans, it's up to you where you want them to go to. Let me know. So 1 cavalry detachment, you can either have them as tribal, or they could be sent up as reinforcements to one of your legions. And for the Britons, yeah, you've got your 3 infantry. Um, let's just figure out whether they're going to be heavy or light infantry. So the first one on a 1, 2, or 3 is heavy. So the first one's heavy. Second one is heavy. Third one is light. So you got 2 heavy and 1 light. Okay. So what do we got? Can the Romans still land in Archabates as it is now neutral? I would say yes. I mean, when they first landed back in the first sort of invasion period, I wouldn't say everyone was particularly positive towards them, and they landed anyway. So yes, I would say they could. There's not going to be a coordinated defense now because although they're kind of neutral, there's no one there. Just, yeah, just keep it simple. Yes, they can. They could land on A or B. Can the Romans? Yes, in Discord. Yes. I meant where I'll place them. Okay, fair enough. Cool. So yeah, if you have to think about where you want your troops, and just let me know at some point, and then I will make a note of where they're going. Now we'll go on to the random events on both sides. So for the Romans, what are they get this turn? They rolled a 19, and 19 is delayed reinforcements. A scheduled reinforcement fails to arrive this turn, but will arrive the following turn. Sorry about that. So your cavalry will arrive next turn. So still think about where you want them to go, but they just won't be here this turn. My sound is a bit garbled, so if I don't respond right away, I'll try to answer later. Okay, no worries. Uh, cool. Luke, can you hear me okay, or is it a me issue, or is it sound is really garbled? Okay. Is it better when I talk this way, or is it still bad? Otherwise, I can try exiting and Okay, so that's better. Okay, maybe it's just the way I was looking. So I'll try and talk to the microphone instead. So, yes, that was a 19 for the Romans. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I've also got the computer over there, so that might be when I look away to read on the screen. I'm looking away from the microphone, which is on the camera, so I will try. But yes, just to recap, so that was a 19 for the Romans, which is delayed reinforcements. So your cavalry won't arrive this turn. That will be next. So just let me know where you want them to come in next turn. And now we'll do the Britons, who have rolled a 60. And that is insider knowledge. A Briton scout reports on Roman movements. One Roman force's movement is reduced by 3 centimeters this turn, or allowing the Britons to spring a trap. Okay. So I think probably the movement isn't going to be too much of an issue this turn because most of the things are going to be quite close by, but we will keep that in mind when we get to the movement. Okay, what's next? -3 Romans, 1 unit. Or we could just again roll. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's roll D8. Actually, that'll be the way to go. That'll determine which unit gets delayed somewhat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. Okay. So the forces in Londinium If they move, will just be slowed by 3 centimeters. Um, the plan resulting from the movement is another discord, I feel. I think so. Right, so that is our random movements, random events. Now we actually get onto the movement itself. What a waste of good. I know. That would be quite useful. It would have been one of these key Roman forces. Okay, stick to the plan I said in Discord. Cool, said that. Right, let's get to the plans themselves. So, as far as the voting in the polls is concerned, for Romans, overall, we have 44% of viewers vote for option 4. And option 4 was Western forces unite, so those two move together and then try and draw in the Britons for one big battle, try and hopefully break them. The Eastern forces, which are these Roman troops here, to pursue the Iceni specifically, with aim to destroy them and knock them out of the fight. Cool. And then there's also the request/order from our commander for these tribal forces just to move across the border into this sort of Thames area, just to help shore up this flank. Cool. Also, we need to just roll, which we'll do for units which aren't directly visible right now. So we'll do that in a second. Now, as for the Romans, sorry, as for the Britons, we've got 45% for option 3. And option 3 is the Eastern forces, which are these chaps. Eastern forces withdraw and use hit and run tactics to strike supply lines. They're going to try to avoid main battles. If they get caught, they'll put them in a fight, but then they'll be withdrawing. So, okay, that makes sense. And Western forces attack the nearest Roman armies. Okay, so those two for both the Romans and the Britons kind of correspond. The Romans uniting, the Britons are attacking. And over here, the Romans are going after the Iceni, whilst everyone else is trying to just get in run attacks on to try and break that. Cool. So, how does that go in regards to movement? And so I assumed we had to stick with plans once it got to this stage. Yes, that's spot on. Yeah. So, let's get to the movement. So that's going to be, where's my ruler? There it is. Cool. So let's just start off with the there's no initiatives, they're all going to go at the same time. So if these two Romans are converged, there we go, so they're running towards each other. Yeah, I think so. They're Roman armies. They're not forced marching infantry. It's D10 plus 2, so they were getting 2 anyway. So roll for them. Everything there is really 2. So again, we're going to have troops coming in from 2 directions. So let's write that down. And we'll just call it Archerabates battle. If anyone can think of something that's around the it's a bit further down, isn't it? Yeah. If anyone can think of anything in that area, we can call it the battle. Then call it that. But for now, it's just Archerabates battle. We've got these forces who are going to move across, and 2 centimeters kind of gets just one for you, Bluko. How far were you wanting them to go? Approximately to there, or just on the borderline? Roughly 2 centimeters, which is gets you to about that sort of area. But if you want them to go further or hang back, just let me know in the comments. Up here, so we've got Romans and Iceni. Let's just go for them first. detachments, so they're going to be minimal. Friendly territory, though, will give the tribal troops a bonus. So we just do Iceni first. They try and do hit and runs. They're going to be sort of pulling there, and they roll a 10, so they can go wherever they want to. We'll see where the Romans get. So one of them can go 6, 10, 6. Okay, so they're going to be kind of. I'm going to make some movements. If you guys have any differing opinions on how you would want them to act, just comment on it. Londinium have short movement, and I'm having trouble here. Just do what seems. Okay, so we'll do these guys across to that area because that's what I thought you were asking for. There are Roman troops garrisoning Londinium. If you remember from a few turns back, the reinforcements were just put in Londinium, so there's no marker over there. Yeah, there you go. There is a Roman detachment as garrison. And as for these, theoretically, the Iceni could go all the way back as far as their capital. The plan was more for hit and run. So I'm not sure that's actually what you want to do there, Luke. My sort of thoughts on that would have been more they would pull back a little bit. The Romans would pursue, and there would be some sort of withdrawal action based off of the rules where we can do the withdrawal. That affects casualties on both sides. They pull back again. The Romans would pursue and probably do a couple of those at the same time, having to deal with this threat or the Catavilani tribes coming in and doing basically the same thing against the Romans. That's the way I would kind of interpret that, and it would be 2 or 3 different sort of repeats of the same thing, not having a pitch battle necessarily. Although, seeing as one of those did give 10, we may have to just roll up to see if they do their calls in a battle. Yeah, let's do that. I think that makes sense. We'll just do 50-50. On a 1, 2, or 3, they will get caught at some point. On a 4, 5, or 6, they're able to just continuously stay in. So 1, 2, or 3. I say 1, 2, or 3, they do get caught. I think that's what I said. So okay, so there will be, but they can choose to withdraw, which they probably will do. So they will sort of suit action, hit and run situation. Going to trust you. You do good running. Time to reading the comments. And to consolidate all tribes in Catavilani. So look, you're saying you need to consolidate. So does that mean you want them to try and get around to the front, or to just attacking along the lines? Just confirm that one for me. And then we've got our final piece of the puzzle, which I'm not sure if they'll come into view this turn or not. So just bear with me whilst I get the other one. There, coming around the corner. And their movement is +3. So they're going to be going D10 +3. They got 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So okay, so there have been a force of Brigantes who managed to sail down the coast and marching Rate, the Catavilani capital, and they're going to lay siege to it this turn. So, yeah, a little bit of a surprise one there. But yeah, so they have arrived, and just checking the comments. I was trying to roll. Romans don't want to risk getting strung out fighting strength combined forces. Cool. So, as for this situation, as said, they are going to be watching siege. So, with rolls, we roll a d20 on a 1 or a 2. The town straight away. So, the siege is going to take place. Now we roll up d6, and that'll give us how many turns until they surrender. 3 turns. So, we know under siege. So in 3 turns, uh, hopefully for the Britons, one of these army groups will get up there to relieve the siege. But if not, yeah, the capital will surrender. That doesn't mean that the Catalani will be out of the game, because again, for the rules for a force to be destroyed, their field armies have to be destroyed as well. But it won't be good for them to lose their capital. Cool. So that's that. So we've got hit and run battles. Hit and run battles. Cool. And we've got siege. Catu. Bavani. Capital. Boom, 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 boom. I couldn't move from Siluris to Duratriges in that time. The entire tribe land. So they went down the river, like along the coast, not cross country. I couldn't move from Siluris to Duratriges. Yeah. So in your guys, they did cross over. It was just bad rolls. If I remember rightly, sometimes it was like 1s and 2s. So it took ages for them to actually get across. Whereas these guys, they just had the benefit of good rolls each turn. I had a string of like from when they first came on, which was been 2 turns back. That's when they first set up. Yeah, they haven't crossed through the tribal territory. Anyway, I think it's for this turn. That's all movements done. They're engaged. They're engaged. They've moved. Yeah, I think that's it from movements and everything this turn. Unless anyone's got any additional questions, ideas. Yeah, because that's all for after battle. So yeah, I think that's pretty well us for now. Anyway, if you do want to know the exact numbers, like diplomacy levels of the different tribes, just give me a second, and I will let you know. So keep that in mind for the next turn. And I will post this shortly as well, anyway, into the group chat. But the Catabalani, obviously very hostile to Rome. Siluris, they're incredibly hostile to Rome. Those two can't get any more hostile, so they are as far as they can go. The Ordo Vices, they are very hostile, but they could be increased still further. The Duratriges, same as the Ordo Vices. The Iceni, they're very, very hostile. The Brigantes are very loyal to the Romans, as in like maximum loyalty. The Cornovi, yeah, they are 5, basically, they're completely neutral. The Parisi, they are 4. They went down one additional one, but yeah, so they're still kind of semi-neutral, but they're starting to be swayed more towards the anti-Roman forces. That may have had something to do with the Briganti crossing down the rivers along their border. The Coriateralvi, yeah, that's these ones. They again are on a 4, so they're still neutral, but they're swayed slightly towards the British cause again. perhaps that was more to do with the tribe crossing their border. The Dubuni or Dubani, these chaps in the middle, they're a 6, so they're slightly more in line with Rome, but they're still neutral. The Umoni, which are these ones down here, again, they're a 6, so they're slightly more in line with Rome, but still neutral. Then you've got the Trinobantes, who are Roman allies, and the Cantiasi, who are Roman allies. Okay. Yeah, just got a fresh list later. Okay, yeah, but I will put that list on for you all to be able to have a look at in detail later on today. Yeah, should be an interesting turn. Yeah, if you've got any specific questions, I think just drop them to me on Discord, and then we can chat and discuss on there for anything further. But cool. Thanks very much for everyone taking part today. The campaign's getting pretty interesting. So yeah, thanks for all of your inputs. Anyway, hope that you have a good rest of your weekend, and I will keep updating on Discord for you all. And I'll see you all soon. But yeah, thanks, guys. Oh, how many battles? Battle here for sure, and then that one there. There will be an attempted battle. Whether the Britons will draw or not is to be decided. I'll probably check in with Luke specifically on Discord how he wants those fought, whether he wants the troops to try and stand / unite, or whether he wants them to keep taking runs. But yeah, I will speak to Luke about that, and then we will definitely have the one battle. That might be a second. Very cool. Thanks, guys. See you next time.